Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. The other day we did the marvellous story about the GRR bill being abandoned. They're not going to go chasing after it because they just literally daren't waste another 2 million at a time when they're cutting everything else. It's also not exactly the sort of policy Alibaba wants to follow himself. He doesn't like it, but he was bounced into it by Sturgeon. I think he's glad now that he can put it to rest. I would also point at this time that I seem to be right in my assertion that the Greens wouldn't walk. They're still there. They haven't walked. We knew they wouldn't. Our arses are too comfortable in those nice fat chairs, earning those nice fat salaries. But it was a bad case. It's a bad bill. It helped nobody. It was very divisive. It put women and children at risk. It was clearly wrong. The courts say so. Everyone says so, except for a few extremists within government. One of whom, of course, is Shona Robison, who won't even apologise for getting it wrong. When she has been proved to be wrong, that it is bad, it is a bad law, and yet she won't apologise. Goes to show exactly what she thinks of, the rights of women, the freedoms of women, the safety of women, and the safety of children too. But Joanna Cherrie, a woman who is vehemently against it, she says that the people who fought it deserve their apology, that Shona Robison must show she is capable of it, and that in order to move forward, it must be done. Let's take a look. Now, I will start by saying I do actually have a bit of time for Joanna Cherrie. Don't agree with her politics in terms of independence and so forth, but she is nonetheless actually an intelligent woman. Which makes you wonder why she's in the SNP. But she is. She has got a brain in her head. I think she'd be better suited in another party, perhaps. Less toxic one. But that's as may be. But she did stand on the correct side on this bill. And I think that alone gives her a moral stance, I think, that can be respected. And so I will. I will respect her moral stance on this. But she fought very hard for the protection of women and children. Ash Regan, another one, don't like the politics. Think she's normally quite a bad MSP, to be honest. But again, she took a stance and indeed gave up her position and resigned over it. So again, strongly held beliefs, and she was prepared to walk the walk as well as talk the talk. I'm very surprised Joanna Cherrie hasn't quit the party over it. But, maybe. Who knows what's happening in the future. But we will take a look at this. Shona Robison won't say sorry to gender campaigners after Joanna Cherrie demands an apology. The SNP Deputy First Minister confirmed the Scottish Government will not appeal the Court of Session decision that the UK Government has got the right to block the Gender Reform Scotland Bill. Quite right. And there's a lot of people, 99% of people in Scotland, very, very pleased with that result. Anyway, getting into it. Shona Robison has refused to say sorry to gender campaigners after her SNP colleague Joanna Cherrie demanded an apology. The Deputy First Minister, fresh from delivering a brutal budget announcement on Tuesday, said she did not feel the need to apologise, despite the toxic nature of the debate. She was on the wrong side. She doesn't like the fact that she's on the wrong side, and she refuses to accept that she was on the wrong side. And apologising would mean she got something wrong. And as we know, these people are so narcissistic, so single-minded, they can never apologise because in their minds, they can never do something wrong. Sometimes you do get things right. Sometimes you get them wrong. And that's fine. Apologise. Or at least explain. Or at least tell people, yes, you were wrong because. But to just simply not accept you were wrong is wrong. Anyway, we'll go on. It's just the arrogance, really. It's the arrogance that annoys me with these people. Anyway, the Scottish Government will confirm it is not appealing a Court of Session decision to uphold the UK Government's use of Section 35 to drop the reforms, and the GRR is now dead in the water, effectively, because it would have changed the law to such a degree that it was very, very disruptive to a lot of things. It certainly would have damaged children. Anyway, many feminist campaigners were branded transphobes, bigots and TERFs for their views during the debate. Nicola Sturgeon even suggested critics were misogynist, transphobic and racist in one intervention. So there you have the leader of a country telling the vast majority of the people of that country that they were misogynist, transphobic and racist. The majority of people in Scotland are women. So she's saying that the majority of women were misogynist. No, you've got that the wrong way round. And it's finally wonderful to see that she is wrong, she's out. Her views are no longer important. Her views were never important, but she's wrong. But Miss Robison, who confirmed there would be no appeal on Tuesday night, was unrepentant. So she's actually keeping this division and this hatred going. Yes, we lost, but you're all still bastards. Look at you, you're misogynistic, racist turds. Turfs, or turds, whatever. But the point is, she cannot accept that she was wrong. Cannot physically accept. But then, of course, she's very, very stupid, and so that doesn't help. Anyway, she refused to. She was asked, will she appeal? And said, will she appeal? Will she apologise? And said there was no need to. Look at that face. That's the face of someone who really hasn't got a clue what's going on. That's a woman completely out of her depth, isn't it? In the shallow end of the gene pool. She said, I think I listened to all the arguments. No, you didn't. You didn't listen to any arguments. If you'd have listened to the arguments, you would have changed your mind, because the arguments against were so good and so strong and so morally right. But you didn't listen to the arguments because you were sure in your tiny, ignorant, bigoted mind that you were right, Shona. She said, fundamentally at the heart of it, it was trying to make the lives of trans people just that little bit better. No, you were making it way, way worse when you were making it so much easier for children to cut their ghoulies off, then repent, and then end up ending their own lives. That is not something that's good. That is not something that's making people's lives better. Cut the shite and stop grasping at the straws of morals. Look at me, I'm morally, victimhood and things like that. You're not a virtuous person. You're an evil monster. Get it into your head. You're on the wrong side. In a post on X, formerly Twitter, Miss Cherrie said, why do they keep doing that? We know what it is. Miss Cherrie said on Tuesday, pleased to hear Shona Robison confirm on BBC Scot 9 that there will be no appeal against the court judgment. It's the right decision in the round. All that remains now is the long overdue apology from MSPs from all the parties who rubbished legitimate concerns of lifelong feminists and LGBT activists. I love Cherrie for that. And she added, the biggest lesson from all of this is that Holyrood needs to up its game on bill scrutiny and evidence-based policy making. They don't want evidence-based policy making. They can't afford evidence-based policy making, because once you start asking for evidence, every policy they have falls apart, because the evidence will always show the opposite to what they actually want to do, because they're morons or they're evil. It's either one or the other, or both. But certainly the evidence will always stand against the SNP. This is why they lie, and this is why they hate the truth. It's why they hate facts. Everything they do is against reality. They live in a delusional world. And I just about to say about what Cherrie there, she calls it LGB activists because there's no T in LGB. Let me tell you, LGB are attractions. From T onwards, everything else is a mental illness. Former SNP leadership contender Ash Regan, who defended defected to Alba this year, also welcomed the decision. Miss Regan quit the party over the concerns over gender policy, and quite right too. It's the only thing I've ever been pleased to say about Ash Regan. I will defend her on that. It's one of the few. Anyway, she said, I'm disappointed that unfortunately the Scottish Government has got itself into this mess to begin with. It didn't have to do that. But what will I say? Whilst this legislation, which is deeply unpopular with the Scottish public, is blocked for now, what I would like to see is this legislation is withdrawn. And I would like to see the Scottish Government say they will never implement this bill. Well, the Scottish Government won't, because it won't be coming back under this government. And the next one is Labour, and they have no plans to do this. And in fact, the SNP had no plans to do this. This wasn't on their manifesto. This was a result of the Butte House Agreement and Sturgeon shitting her tiny little knickers, going, oh God, I've got to put it in or I'm going to have to do a minority government. And so she bowed and kissed the arse of the Greens to make sure that this divisive, disgusting, degenerate policy was put to the forefront of SNP policy. Not their idea. Nobody wanted it. And I guarantee if you'd have put this to a free vote to the people of Scotland, it would have been 99.9% no. But they won't accept that, and they have to push against what the majority, the vast majority, want. And is it any wonder they're losing support? Even their own supporters don't want this. Anyway, I shall round off there, come up and we'll finish this video. The problem you have, of course, is that the decent, normal people are against it. It's only the deviants, the predators, the peds, the pervs that are for this kind of thing. The ones that want to sexualise children, the ones that want to push degenerate thoughts onto young people. These predators, they want this sort of thing to happen. Decent people don't. Joanna Cherrie, I would say, is in the decent people because she's saying it's wrong. She fought against it and fine. But the amount of loathing and of hatred shown to the decent people of Scotland, where they're telling the vast majority of people that you're misogynistic, you're a phobe, you're an ist, you're hateful, when it's actually just them. They are the hateful ones. We are the normal ones. We're the normies. We're the ones with a sense of morals, a sense of ethics, a sense of wanting safety for women and children. They are the predators. They are the ones that want to remove that safety, that want to put dangerous men, lock them up with vulnerable women, that want to sexualise children from very young ages. And they think we are the problem. In the olden days, there'd have been a chasing. You'd have chased them up a tree and you'd have set fire to the tree. Or you'd have lynched them. Or you'd have done something with them. The problem would have taken care of itself. And unfortunately, in this day and age, you can't do that. And that's a damn shame, isn't it? I'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And if ever you see Maggie Chapman in the street, let her know exactly what you think of her. Bye.